Discussion as a learning activity. This is part 6 in the Teaching Methods series. I'm Dr. Grady Roberts from the University of Florida. This presentation will be guided by 3 essential questions. 1. What is discussion? 2. How does discussion relate to learning modalities and Dale's Cone of Experience? And 3rd, how do you initiate good quality discussion in the classroom? First, defining discussion. Discussion is a learning activity that involves oral communication between the teacher and the students or students and other students. And so discussion involves multiple levels of communication between multiple people in the classroom. If we refer back to our taxonomy of learning activities that was presented in an earlier part of this series, we notice that discussion falls right in the middle underneath social interaction activities. And again, so this involves multiple interactions in the classroom between the teacher and students and other students. And if we look at the bottom of the model at the autonomy in the learning environment, discussion falls right in the middle, and so the teacher and the student are sharing pretty much equal amounts of control in the classroom related to the discussion. If we think about learning modalities, discussion appeals to our auditory learners because discussion is primarily an oral way of interacting in the classroom, and so our auditory learners will be very comfortable using discussion. If we look at Dale's Cone of Experience, participating in a discussion and giving a talk kind of lumped together towards the bottom of the cone, and so discussion is a little bit more towards the concrete level of Dale's Cone of Experience. So if you decided you want to use discussion in the classroom, you first must think about how you want to initiate or get that discussion started. And so a couple of common ways that you can do that. Number 1, you can pose a question. Number 2, you can use a case study or an example. Or number 3, you can provide a situation or a debate. All these are good ways to get discussion going in the classroom. A commonly used strategy is called a think, pair, share. And that's exactly what it sounds like. It's a little technique where a question is posed. Students first think about it themselves. Then they pair up with someone near them to discuss their thoughts. And then each of the pairs shares with the whole class. So think, pair, share. Characteristics of good discussion. Number 1, an appropriate situation exists for discussion. And so if you don't provide a good question or an appropriate context and ask students to discuss something, then they're just going to sit there and not know what to discuss. So you need to make sure you provide them a good question or a situation to discuss. Secondly, students must have enough knowledge to discuss the topic. If you ask them to discuss something that's outside their realm of experience or outside the realm of their knowledge, they're not going to be able to discuss it. Number 3, the learning environment is structured where students are comfortable sharing. Good quality discussion involves lots of people talking, sharing ideas, and not being afraid of sharing what they're thinking. And so you want to create a learning environment that is psychologically comfortable for students to do that. Number 4, teacher uses appropriate levels of questions and provides prompts when needed. As the instructor, it's your job to kind of keep the discussion going, monitor the discussion, and provide those relevant questions and prompts when needed. And finally, incorrect points are corrected in a dignified manner. And so if someone's offering an opinion or a thought that is incorrect or inappropriate, then you need to correct those in a way that's constructive and in a way that you're not going to cause a particular student to be very uncomfortable. Number 6, all students are engaged in discussion, so you want everyone in the classroom engaged. Number 7, students have the opportunity to contribute. Not one person is monopolizing, so you want to make sure that you're structuring things in a way that everyone has a chance to share. Number 8, the teacher actively listens and participates when needed, and so the teacher is not the one doing all the talking. The teacher is listening and letting the students talk. Number 9, key points are summarized throughout the discussion and then re-summarized at the end. And number 10, the discussion is brought to a conclusion and wrapped up. And so these are all characteristics of good quality discussion in the classroom. So some things to consider. What's going to be the scope of your discussion? In other words, you want the whole class discussing as one large group, or do you want smaller groups with 3 or 4 students? Part of that's probably going to depend on the size of the class, the structure of the classroom, and what your goals are. Second thing to consider is that as a teacher, your job is more of a facilitator. You need to move around the room, listen in on the discussion, monitor and listen, and occasionally offer some thoughts or some prompts, but allow the students to be the ones that are discussing. So key points. Discussion has teacher-student, student-teacher, and student-student interaction. So there's multiple interactions going on in the classroom. Use a good opening topic, question, or situation to get the discussion going. You need to have that good prompt or that good question to get it going. The teacher should be the facilitator in the classroom, not control the conversation or discussion. And you want to be flexible. Allow the students to explore the topic, express themselves, and come up with different ideas. So don't cut off meaningful discussion. That can make it a little bit more challenging when you're planning, because it's hard to determine how long a good quality discussion is going to take. So you've got to have some flexibility in the way that you're planning. So our essential questions for this presentation: what is discussion? And we talked about discussion being a learning activity with multiple interactions happening in the classroom. We talked about discussion appealing to the auditory learners and it being somewhat concrete in the way because it's requiring students to actually discuss the particular topic. And we talked about ways of initiating good discussion in the classroom, and we particularly talked about think, pair, share, and posing good questions. If you'd like further information on this subject, please feel free to contact me. I provided my contact information below. Thanks and have a great day.